just rolled up to In the Mind of JT with a whiskey strong. The opinions are stronger. There's no filter in sight. We're talking no holds barred, people. I am JT, Marine, biker, musician, and unapologetic patriot. I love my country and all things fast, loud, and wild. And if you came here looking for a smooth ride, well, you're in the wrong motherfucking place. Buckle up. Let's get it done. It's time to dive into the chaos that's inside my mind. So welcome back, my friends. I appreciate y'all tuning in and listening to another episode of In the Mind of JT. I really appreciate y'all, coming back to the channel and listening to what I have to say. I feel like there's a lot of momentum going on right now. I've been kind of growing and I'm getting more listeners, and I'm very humbled by that. When people want to take the time out of their day to come back and watch a video or listen to an hour show or whatnot, I really appreciate it. I really take it serious with what I'm doing. The podcast is obviously it's my passion. I enjoy it a lot. It is my outlet to talk about things that I want to get off my chest. And I admit, and if you've been listening for a while, you'll know I talk about things that sometimes, people aren't going to agree with. My show is always open to people to come on and have either a debate or a conversation with me and talk about different views. So I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, okay? I fucking understand. But at the end of the day, the podcast, it brings me great joy, and I enjoy, talking about things and getting things off my chest. And it's even better when people want to come on and interact with me. So again, thank you very much for always taking the time to listen in. So now I'm going to set the tone here real quick because, the last couple episodes I've had some really kick-ass guests and, coming on, talk about things. I had my buddy Jason on. I had, my real-life brother, the Pond Digger. He came on recently. My buddy Zig. We really kind of tied one on, too, that day. I was feeling it the next morning. But so I felt, today I kind of wanted to go solo. And I wanted to have a real conversation and a real talk episode. And, like I said, the last few episodes have been great. I've had solid people sitting across from me. But today it's just me. And sometimes that's when the real stuff comes out. So let's get to it, okay? I don't know about you all, okay? But when as a child, when I was growing up, I would I'd kind of have this weird thing, right? Like I would just have these moments where I'm like brushing my teeth, and I would just stare in the mirror, wondering, like how I came on this planet, like how I came to be, right? It's like questioning my whole being. How it was created. Like, of course you're taught as a kid, how kids are made and all that stuff like that. But as a kid, I'd always just wonder, like, am I always going to be like this? Like, what am I going to be when I grow up? What am I going to do? I know it sounds silly, but the thing is that took me in all the way into adulthood, right? Where I would just have these moments of just wondering, what I'm here for. Why am I on this planet, right? And it always got me questioning things, right? And so now I'm 52 years old, and there's a new version of me, right? There's an old version, and now there's the new version. Part of that obviously is growing because, let's be honest, when you're 20 years old, you're fucking invincible, yo. You're fucking invincible, and you know you're gonna rule the fucking world, right? But as we all know, you get older, your mentality starts to change. So, and why is that? Why does your mentality start to change? It's because you've had life experiences, you've gone through some things. As you get older, you have different likes, and you're into different things. And so I always talk about my past life, right? When I was young and I was getting into trouble and, getting expelled from school and all these other things. That old version of me was very spontaneous, very impulsive, always moving fast without really thinking, you know? And sometimes even now as a mature man, I still have those tendencies on occasion. But the life I've had up to this point, I will always own that lifestyle. I will always own my mistakes, the things I did, the bad things I did. I will always take ownership of my faults and the things I've done in the past. No regrets, because only lessons came from that, right? So that was the old me. Now there's kind of a new me, a new version of me evolving. And that's been happening lately once I got involved into a relationship with my now fiance, right? So I find myself changing and evolving into a newer version. Now, do I still look in the mirror and like try to look into my soul and question why I'm here in life? Sometimes. Sometimes I do. I think you always have to question that, right? You gotta, because sometimes we get sidetracked. You'll have a goal and you have this passion in life, but then for whatever reason, you deviate from it. I should say purpose, right? You figure out your purpose in life, and then sometimes we deviate, and so when you kind of look into the mirror and stare into that soul of yours, it kind of brings you back, right? And so yeah, sometimes I still do that, and I think it helps. I think it helps my cause. But the new version of me has been developing into something that I'm really liking, because I'm seeing changes that I didn't really have before, and that happens when good people come into one's life, right? So I'm going to use Amanda as an example, because we're recently engaged. We're going to be getting married in October, and a lot of things happened in a short period of time that led up to this eventual kind of change that I'm going through, this newer version of me, right? And so, it's not just me thinking about myself anymore. Like when I make decisions now, I always have her in mind. It's not just me. Now it's us. It's like if I'm going to the grocery store, or if I'm going out for the night, or if I'm making any plans, or I want to go out of town, like it's always got her involved, which is new to me. But I never really had that before. It's like, you're growing up and you're going through things and you're just going through life by yourself. That older version, right? You're just in a mode of, and you're just taking care of things and doing whatever you want to do, making poor choices in life, and then suffering the consequences, right? At least back then, in my older version, if I fucked up, I was just affecting me, right? Now, if I fuck up, then now I'm affecting someone I care about. And so that's why I say this newer version is really, it's good for me, I think, because I'm 52 years old. I can't do the shit that I used to do anymore, and I'm not crazy like I used to be. I've really kind of mellowed out, and now it's way more balanced and controlled now that I have somebody in my life that I'm just like head over heels for, right? So it really kind of changes things. So, the responsibility is always hitting you differently when someone else is involved. So I'm really enjoying that growth there. But that's why I'm saying there's like, if you're not constantly evolving in all areas of your life, then you're doing something wrong. At least from my point of view. And my take is everything that's happened from the time you can start remembering things, right? So I could probably go back as far as like 4th grade. Before that, you don't really, there's just memories, like just real vague things. But from the time you can start remembering things to now, that evolution, right? That learning, that education of life, the good times, the hard times, the struggles, is what makes you the person you are today. And I always try to keep that in mind when I wake up in the morning. I very rarely wake up in a bad mood, right? Because my thought is, I wake up in the morning and yeah, my body's older. I'm, my bones, creak, and my joints aren't always working properly, and I've gained more weight as I got older. But I always wake up in a good mood because it starts that starts your day. If you're gonna if you wake up in a way and you're just negative, it's gonna fuck up your whole day. So those things that I've learned over my 52-year lifetime so far has got me to this point. So that's why I'm really digging the new version, right? I don't want to be the old version of me anymore. I want to be the new version. That means I'm growing, and I always recommend that people do that. Sometimes you just have to stop and really look at yourself in the mirror and really ask yourself the hard questions, right? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I a good person? Am I a good human? What am I doing wrong in life? Why am I failing at this? Why am I doing this? I call it self-evaluation. And I do that regularly for me because it gets me back on track. Now I also have Amanda around. So now, there's a good balance there, right? So if you're stuck in your old version, man, and you want to bump up into the new version, well, I highly recommend you start looking yourself directly in the mirror and deep down in your soul, and you ask yourself the questions. I think it will help out a lot. So that's just me. That's just what I do. What I do won't work for everybody, but I tell you what, that old life I had, the old version of me, he's evolved into something far better than I ever thought. So keep going. And that right there is that shift, is how it changes how you move, right? Which brings me to something I've been noticing everywhere lately. Okay? I do a lot of social media. I'm on it pretty regularly, on the daily, right? Because I'm trying to grow my podcast. Aside from that, it's a passion I've had, So aside from that, though, I am, like everybody else, used to having access to social media, right? It's how we get our news. It's how we communicate with our friends and family. It's how we stay up to date with certain things. And so I'm as guilty of it as anyone, right? There's some people who are straight addicted to the social media, which I think if you're trying to grow your brand or a business or whatnot, you have to utilize the socials to spread the word, right? That's just what you got to do. So I'm guilty of it too. Like even the other night, I was with my woman and she, we were doing an event, and she's like, "Can you do me a favor? Try not to get on your phone so much, right? Try to interact and be social and stuff." And she really had a point, because I mean that's what we do as humans. Like we're so brainwashed into our phones and communicating and learning about stuff that we don't stop to realize that, fuck, dude, sometimes we should just put the phone away, put the socials away, and interact in real life with people. So, everything now though on the socials is like being curated, or acting. There's this thing that I'm calling it when I see it. It's called the rise of fake authenticity, right? We're seeing so much of it. And the first thing that comes to mind when I say that phrase is, the hot chick in the gym who takes her halo light and her tripod and sets it up in such a way that it's going to get the full body shot, but the body shot always seems to be like her ass, right? So, and then she'll do whatever she's doing, and then she'll look back over her shoulder and like show the ass pic, and it's like, dude, okay, yeah, I get it, you're hot, I get it, okay, cool, but it's so fake to me. It's so fake. Like, I don't care if you're fucking hot. I don't care. I don't care that you're at the gym and you're working on your ass. I don't care, dude. And of course, I could scroll right by, which I do. But where I'm going with this is, like, to me, that's not authentic. That's not showing your true self, right? Just showing your body on camera and getting, a bunch of simps to like your shit and comment on your stuff. That, to me, it's lame. I can appreciate a hot woman. I can do that, but that's not what drives me, man. But what's crazy about this? The hot chick being fake, showing her body, will get thousands and thousands and thousands of likes and comments. But then you'll see in the next reel somebody who's like really talking about some really cool, authentic, like real life shit gets like, 100 likes and like 200 views. I don't get it, and I know a lot of that has to do with kind of how the socials are set up, right? You got to have some kind of interesting topic or conversation or something going on to capture people's attention. If you don't capture their attention within the first few seconds, most likely people will scroll by. It's all about that algorithm, right? But when you're a simp and you're just fucking scrolling through and you come across a hot chick, what are they gonna do? They're gonna, that captures your attention. So I get why these women do that. It's the same thing with having an OnlyFans page. I mean, I get why women do it. To each their own, man. So I don't have shit like that. That's not something I would do. So I really call that fake authenticity is just, so then you got, people who will get online and they'll start talking about something, and then in real life, them in real life, you're like, dude, you're not even that person. This is like disguised validation acting as like a purpose in life, dude. It's just really odd to me, man. You get those people who go online who will, it's like they always seem to be winning in life, right? They're winning, but in real life, their whole world's falling apart. So that's what I'm talking about, like this fake bullshit, and I see it happening all the time. And it's just, I scroll right past all that shit because it just doesn't appeal to me. The hot chick showing her ass doesn't appeal to me. She's hot, so what? 40 years she'll be ugly, right? Or 40 years she won't have that body, then what is she going to rely on? And that's kind of where I'm going, So everybody wants to act real, but somehow it always looks like some fucking production. And I'd rather just keep it real at all times, and I'd have more respect for you. I'd have more respect for people who just want to keep it real. But part of that is, and I know why a lot of people don't post. Like, I know there's people in life who deep down want to come on and they want to post and shoot videos and do things and be themselves, but they can't for fear of rejection or retaliation, or they're going to get bullied, or they're afraid of what people are going to think of them. And I find that to be a damn shame. And, who wants to walk the same path in life? Everybody has to fall in line, right? Everybody has to think, go to the left and think this way, or, go to the right and think this way. I'd rather put on some fucking shit-kicking boots and go down the road that's never traveled, that has a shit ton of obstacles, and go down my own path without fear of rejection, without fear of what people are going to say about me. And that's what I do in life. My brother has this thing where he said he said this to me a few times. And he was on the podcast recently when we spoke about it, where I'd go to him for advice, and he would give me good advice, like sound advice. Instead of taking his advice, I'd go do this and like make my own decision. I don't know why I was like that, dude. I don't know why. I've always had an issue with people trying to tell me what the fuck to do. And now, mind you, I haven't always done that. Like, sometimes my brother would give me advice, and I'd actually listen. Or my mom would give me advice, and I'd listen. And sometimes I would take that advice, but for the most part, I'd always go this way. So I think people need to stop worrying about the riffraff and what the naysayers are going to say about them, and just focus on what brings them joy, what brings them happiness. And that's what I'm always trying to do. Because when you stop caring about what others think about you, bro, dude, a whole fucking new world opens up to you. Like I said, I'm in that world too of getting into, sometimes I'll spend hours on social media and then doing all these things. So I'm in that world with y'all. Okay. I post, I promote the podcast. I'm pushing the show all the time. But there's a line. There's a line. Sometimes you just gotta like stop and take a breather. But the thing is, anytime I post anything on my stories, on my podcast, any of my reels, you can bet your ass that it's always me being authentic. And that's all I ever want to do. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to act. I don't want to tell you I'm something I'm not. So when I am scrolling through those socials, I look for that authenticity. So I don't look for the acting. I don't want to see the fucking charade. And unfortunately, in the times we live in, that's all we're seeing is acting and the fake authenticity. So, like I said, I'm trying to build a brand, and I'm not living on the camera, right? I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to document my life, but there's just certain things that you don't need to discuss. So I choose what not to show. That's why I said earlier, if I post something, you can bet your ass it's always going to be me being my authentic self, regardless of what people are going to say. I have a strong belief in protecting my personal life and my relationships with certain people. Like my family, for example, you'll find that I don't really post about my parents too much because they're sacred to me. And I don't want people to be part of that. That's sacred to me, not others, right? That's just an example. Same thing with my relationship with Amanda. She's sacred to me. Like when we started when we first got together, like I didn't post a lot of pictures of us. Right? I didn't share her life with y'all because she's sacred to me. I didn't want to share her. But not only that, we were still getting to know each other. We had to figure out if we were even compatible. So why share that side? And so I've really kind of kept that still to this day. I don't really share a lot of that those personal relationships with my socials because like I said, there's a certain extent where I just draw the line. So I try to be authentic without oversharing every little fucking aspect of my life, right? So as much as I do share things about my life and I'm like an open book, there are still a lot of things that I don't talk about. And that's how it should be. With that, when you actually have something real in your life, all that online noise starts to look real different. Hence, when I spoke about earlier about my new life, right? And I'm sure in another 10 years, I'm going to have another new life because that's what that evolution is about. And I really take things serious when it comes to my relationships and the ones that mean a lot to me. So I keep that in mind when I'm going through my daily life, I'm thinking long-term decisions now. Not just making impulsive decisions. It's about loyalty, responsibility, partnership. So there's a lot of things that keep me grounded in life, especially the new life that I talk about, right? My relationship with Amanda, thinking long term versus, impulsive decisions. There's a certain level of freedom versus direction. You can have both. You can combine both. It's easy to do when you in a relationship with somebody who's going in the same direction as you. Those tight circles get even smaller. Those tight circles of friendship you have with people get smaller over the years because you realize not everyone has your back. Not everybody's gonna be dedicated to you like you will be to them. So the tight circles get smaller and that noise goes away. So yeah, those things keep me grounded in life. Being grounded doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you finally know where the hell you're standing. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure that shit out. Sometimes you don't figure that out until the right people come into your life to make that change. So, like I said, old life, new life. Compare old mindset to current mindset. There's a certain level of growth that you get when you have that shift. And you can grow without losing your edge. Look, I'm not perfect. I still got that switch in me, all right? I can go back to that old self just like that. But it's controlled now. Does that make sense? Sometimes I may not say things in a certain way that will, make people understand, but I like to control my emotions. And it's nice that I can kind of keep that in check now. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, I always appreciate people stopping by to check it out and seeing what I'm about. I'm starting to get people engaging in my conversations, and I'm always going to encourage that. Keep it coming. I really enjoy it. And for the new listeners out there who have recently added me, thank you. I hope I continue to bring you good content to talk about things, and we're going to keep it pushing. For those of you who have been listening in from day one, well, man, I appreciate that shit. Really do. The support that I get, it keeps me coming back. Keeps me coming to do another show and talking about things. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, if you're a brand, a company, or someone who lines up with what I stand for, real talk, no filter, and reaching real people, this platform is growing. I'm open to working with the right sponsors who want to be part of something authentic. So if you like what I'm talking about, if you like what you hear, please reach out to me. I would love to chat with you and see how we could work together. And of course, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at JT Space Triplet. You can subscribe on YouTube. All my episodes hit the platforms within 24 hours of recording the episode. Although sometimes if they're lengthy, it does take me an extra day or so to kind of, get it dialed in. I do all the editing myself. I don't have a producer. I'm doing everything on my own, so sometimes it just takes a little bit to get things corrected, audio-wise and stuff, if I'm having any issues. So feel free to reach out to me. And if you're somebody who has something to say, whether you agree with me or not, and you think you can back it up, reach out to me. Come on the show. Let's have the conversation. We're all adults here. I'm sure we could have a friendly banter back and forth and really kind of chat about things. So, with that being said, this is JT signing off. Ride safe, live free, and don't take shit from anybody. Peace.